I didn't wait for visiting hours. I walked straight through the main entrance of Providence Street, Vincent Medical Center, at 11:43 p.m., still wearing the clothes I'd had on at the airport 3 hours earlier. The nurse at the ICU desk tried to stop me, but I showed her my old FBI credentials. Force of habit. They still worked sometimes. My daughter Catherine was 2 floors up in post-op recovery. Emergency appendectomy that had turned into something worse. Sepsis. The surgeon said she'd coded twice on the table. When I got to her room, my son-in-law Marcus wasn't there. No jacket on the chair. No coffee cup. No sign anyone had been sitting vigil. I checked the timestamp on my phone. Catherine had been out of surgery for 4 hours. The nurse who'd called me said Marcus had left at 9:15 p.m. Said he needed to handle something urgent at the restaurant. Catherine's restaurant. The one she'd built from nothing over the past 8 years. I pulled out my laptop, connected to the hospital Wi-Fi, and logged into the business banking portal. Catherine had given me access 2 years ago when she'd made me her emergency contact for everything after her mother passed. The screen loaded. I stared at the account balance. $14,237. Last week, it had been $127,000. I opened the transaction history. Monday, October 16th, 3:47 p.m. Wire transfer to Cascade Equipment Leasing, $35,000. Monday, October 16th, 4:22 p.m. Wire transfer to Portland Food Distributors, $28,000. Monday, October 16th, 5:31 p.m. Wire transfer to Marcus Reed, personal account, $50,000. Catherine had gone into surgery at 2:30 p.m. Monday afternoon. Marcus had started moving money an hour later. My name is Thomas Brennan. I'm 64 years old. Spent 34 years with the FBI, specialized in white-collar crime, financial fraud, Ponzi schemes. I've tracked money through 17 countries and 4 continents. I've testified in federal court 127 times. I've put away CEOs, hedge fund managers, and con artists who thought they were untouchable. When I retired 3 years ago, I promised myself I was done chasing criminals. Turns out, I was wrong. Catherine is my only child. Brilliant, driven, stubborn as hell. She inherited that from her mother. Got her MBA from UCLA, worked as a corporate consultant for 5 years, then walked away from a 6-figure salary to open a farm-to-table restaurant in Portland's Pearl District. Sage and Stone opened in 2016. Within 2 years, she had James Beard nominations, write-ups in Bon Appetit, a waiting list 3 weeks long. She met Marcus at a food industry conference in 2019. He presented himself as a hospitality consultant, specialized in restaurant expansion strategies. Good-looking guy, smooth talker, knew all the right industry buzzwords. They got married 14 months later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. I'd run a background check on him. Nothing criminal, nothing alarming. Credit score was mediocre. He'd had 2 failed businesses in his 20s. But people make mistakes. Catherine loved him, and I stayed quiet. That's what fathers do, right? We watch our daughters choose their partners and hope we raised them smart enough to see through the bullshit. The appendicitis hit on Monday morning. Catherine called me at 6:30 a.m., could barely speak through the pain. Marcus was out of town, she said. Business trip to Seattle. Could I take her to the hospital? I drove from my place in Lake Oswego, got to her condo in 20 minutes. Found her curled up on the bathroom floor, white as paper, sweating. The ER doctor took one look and ordered immediate surgery. Ruptured appendix, peritonitis, setting in fast, high risk of septic shock. I called Marcus at 8:15 a.m., voicemail. Left a message. Called again at 10, voicemail. Texted him at noon. Catherine in surgery. Serious. Call immediately. He responded at 2:47 p.m. Stuck in meetings. Keep me updated. 3 hours after surgery started, he was in meetings. Now it was almost midnight, and I sat in this hospital room watching my daughter breathe through a ventilator, tubes running in and out of her arms, and I knew something was deeply wrong. I made a call. Tom, it's late. Rachel Martinez, former colleague, Now ran a private investigation firm in Seattle. We'd worked together on a securities fraud case in 2015. I need eyes on someone. Marcus Reed, 39. Supposed to be in Seattle on business. I need to know where he actually is, what he's doing, who he's with. When do you need it? Yesterday. Give me 6 hours. I spent the night in Catherine's room. The nurses changed shifts at 7 a.m. The new nurse, a kind woman named Patricia, checked Catherine's vitals. Her husband hasn't come by? She asked. Not yet. That's unusual. Most spouses don't leave their partner's side after surgery like this. I didn't respond. What could I say? Rachel called at 6:23 a.m. Tom, your son-in-law isn't in Seattle. He's in Portland. Checked into the Heathman Hotel downtown yesterday at 2:15 p.m., paid cash for 3 nights. 2:15. Catherine was in surgery. It gets worse. He had dinner last night at Kennard with a woman named Jessica Thornton, age 31, works as a commercial real estate broker. They were very comfortable with each other. My investigator got photos. Send them. The photos came through 30 seconds later. Marcus and this Jessica woman at a corner table, leaning close, her hand on his arm, both of them laughing. The timestamp read 8:47 p.m., 47 minutes before he'd left the hospital. He hadn't left to handle restaurant business. He'd left to have dinner with another woman, get me everything on Jessica Thornton, and pull Marcus's financials. Bank accounts, credit cards, business records. I want to know every dollar that's moved in the past 6 months. Tom, that's going to require some creative access. I don't care what it requires. My daughter almost died yesterday, and her husband is stealing from her while she's unconscious. Find me everything. Catherine woke up at 9:34 a.m. Tuesday morning, groggy, confused, in pain. I was holding her hand when her eyes opened. Dad? Hey, sweetheart. You're okay? You're going to be fine. What happened? Your appendix ruptured. You had emergency surgery. You've been out for almost 20 hours. She tried to sit up, winced. The restaurant. I need to call Marcus. He needs to cover the dinner service. Don't worry about the restaurant. Marcus knows everything. You rest. She closed her eyes again, drifted back to sleep. I stepped into the hallway and called Sage and Stone. The sous chef, a young guy named Trevor, answered. Mr. Brennan? How's Catherine? She's stable. Trevor, I need you to tell me the truth. Has Marcus been to the restaurant since yesterday? Silence. Then, no, sir. We haven't seen him. We've been trying to call him, but he's not answering. We had to run service last night without any management. It was chaos. Who's there now? Just me and Alicia, the pastry chef. We're prepping for lunch, but we don't have access to the ordering accounts or the safe. We can't pay vendors. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I left Catherine with the nurses, drove to the Pearl District. Sage and Stone occupied a beautiful corner space. Floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed brick, custom wood tables Catherine had sourced from a reclaimed barn in Hood River. The restaurant was dark, chairs still up on tables. Trevor let me in through the back entrance. Mr. Brennan, we're in trouble. Marcus was supposed to receive the seafood delivery this morning, but he never showed up. The fish supplier is threatening to cut us off if we don't pay the outstanding balance. And the wine distributor called yesterday saying their last 3 invoices bounced. How much is outstanding? I don't know exactly, but I heard Marcus on the phone last week arguing with someone about $28,000, the same amount he'd wired to Portland food distributors. I went to Catherine's office. Small, neat, organized. Her desk had stacks of paperwork, vendor invoices, payroll records. I opened her computer. No password. She'd always trusted too easily. I spent 2 hours going through files. Found a folder labeled 2023 Financials. Inside were spreadsheets, profit and loss statements, tax documents. The restaurant had been profitable, not wildly successful, but solid. Monthly revenue around $180,000. Expenses around $140,000. Healthy margins. But then I found another folder, MR Consulting. Marcus Reed Consulting. Inside were invoices. Marcus billing the restaurant $8,000 per month for strategic business advisory services. 12 months of invoices. $96,000 paid to Marcus's Personal Consulting LLC. For what? I opened another file. Expansion Plans 2023. A detailed proposal for opening a second location. Marcus had written it. Projected costs, $450,000. He'd already gotten Catherine to sign a commercial lease in the Hawthorne district. $12,000 per month rent for a space that wouldn't open until spring 2024. The lease started September 1st. They'd been paying rent for 2 months on an empty building. I found vendor contracts Marcus had signed on Catherine's behalf, all of them overpriced. Equipment leasing at triple the market rate. Food distributors charging 40% more than competitors. Every single contract had one thing in common. The companies were registered to addresses in Vancouver, Washington. I ran the business names through the Washington Secretary of State database. Cascade Equipment Leasing, registered owner, Marcus Reed. Portland Food Distributors, registered owner, Marcus Reed. Hawthorne Property Management LLC, registered owner, Marcus Reed. He'd created fake companies, billed Catherine's restaurant, paid himself, funneled money out of Sage and Stone into his own accounts for over a year. My phone rang. Rachel. Tom, you need to hear this. Marcus Reed filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection yesterday at 4:47 p.m. Filed on behalf of Sage and Stone LLC, claiming the restaurant has debts exceeding $380,000 and assets of only $75,000. Catherine doesn't know about this. He filed as managing member of the LLC. According to the Articles of Organization, he has signature authority. How is that possible? Did Catherine ever sign operating documents for the LLC? I pulled up the business formation papers. There it was. Catherine's signature on an operating agreement from 2021. Marcus Reed listed as managing member with full financial authority. She'd signed it. Probably thought it was routine paperwork. Probably trusted her husband. Rachel, if the bankruptcy goes through, what happens? The restaurant gets liquidated, assets sold to pay creditors. Catherine loses everything she's built. And here's the kicker. All those creditors Marcus listed? They're his shell companies. He files bankruptcy, claims the restaurant owes them $380,000. The court approves it, liquidates the assets, and Marcus's companies get paid first. He walks away with whatever's left of Catherine's business. I sat back in the office chair, rage, cold and sharp, spreading through my chest. Get me a bankruptcy attorney, best one in Portland. I'll pay whatever it costs. Already called one. Leonard Voss. He's expecting your call. I called Leonard at 1:30 p.m. Explained everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "This is fraudulent conveyance and preferential transfer. If we can prove Marcus created those shell companies to siphon money, we can get the bankruptcy dismissed. But we need to move fast. First creditors meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday. What do I need to do? Get me every financial document you can find. Bank statements, invoices, contracts, emails, everything. And we need Catherine to revoke Marcus's authority as managing member. She's in ICU on a ventilator. Then we petition for emergency temporary restraining order based on incapacity and fraud. I'll file this afternoon. Can you get to my office by 3? I'll be there." Rachel called again at 2:15 p.m. "Tom, more on Jessica Thornton. She's not just a real estate broker. She's a real estate investor. She bought a property in Lake Oswego 3 months ago. 4-bedroom house, lakefront, $890,000. Financing shows she only put down $100,000. Want to guess where that money came from? Marcus. Wire transfer from an account called Reed Investment Holdings. Marcus moved $127,000 into that account in July. Jessica bought her house in August. He stole from Catherine's restaurant to buy his girlfriend a house. It's worse. I pulled property records. The house is titled in both their names, Marcus Reed and Jessica Thornton, joint tenancy with right of survivorship. They're not just dating, Tom. They're building a life together. I drove to Leonard's office in the Wells Fargo Tower downtown. He was exactly what I needed. Late 50s, sharp eyes, reputation for being ruthless. We spent 2 hours going through documents. He made notes, asked questions, built a case. This is textbook fraud, he said. Marcus has been systematically looting the business for 18 months. The fake vendor companies, the consulting fees, the money to the girlfriend, it's all traceable. The bankruptcy filing is just the final play. He strips the assets, files bankruptcy, claims the business failed, walks away clean while Catherine loses everything. Can we stop it? We can try. I'll file for emergency TRO tonight. Request to freeze all accounts, halt the bankruptcy, remove Marcus as managing member. But Tom, you need to understand something. Even if we win all of this, Catherine's business is badly damaged. The vendors are real, even if Marcus inflated the bills. The lease is real. The debt is real. Saving the restaurant from bankruptcy doesn't mean it survives. One problem at a time. Marcus finally showed up at the hospital at 6:47 p.m. Tuesday evening. I was in Catherine's room when he walked in. Still wearing the same clothes from the photos. He saw me and stopped. Thomas, I didn't know you were here. Where else would I be? My daughter almost died. I know. I'm sorry. I've been dealing with a crisis at the restaurant. Vendor issues, staffing problems. It's been insane. What vendor issues? Oh, the usual. Supply chain stuff, payment disputes. He moved toward Catherine's bed. She was asleep, still on the ventilator. How is she? Alive. Barely. He reached for her hand. I stood up. Don't. Excuse me? Don't touch her. Don't pretend you care. Don't stand there and lie to me. His expression changed. The concerned husband mask slipped. I don't know what you think you know. I know you weren't in Seattle. I know you checked into the Heathman. I know you had dinner with Jessica Thornton while Catherine was in ICU. I know you filed for bankruptcy. I know about the shell companies. I know about the $127,000 you stole. Should I keep going? Marcus's face went white, then red, then hard. You've been spying on me? I've been protecting my daughter. Those business decisions were mine to make. I'm the managing member. You're a fraud. You created fake companies, billed Catherine, paid yourself, and now you're trying to bankrupt the business to cover your tracks. That's not how it works. The restaurant was failing. I was trying to save it. By stealing from it? By buying your girlfriend a house with Catherine's money? He stepped back. You can't prove any of that. I pulled out my phone, showed him the photos, bank statements, wire transfers, property records, the bankruptcy filing. All of it. I can prove all of it. And so can the FBI. Because that's where this is going, Marcus. Wire fraud, bankruptcy fraud, theft, federal crimes. You're bluffing. I spent 34 years with the FBI. I don't bluff. Marcus grabbed his jacket. I need to talk to my lawyer. Good idea. You're going to need one. He walked out. I sat back down next to Catherine, took her hand. I've got you, sweetheart, I whispered. He's not taking anything else from you. Leonard called at 8:34 p.m. Judge Morrison signed the TRO. All accounts frozen. Bankruptcy stayed pending fraud investigation. Marcus is barred from the restaurant, the business accounts, and any contact with vendors. We're scheduled for a hearing Friday morning. Thank you. Tom, there's more. I sent the financial documents to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Friend of mine is a special agent there. They're opening a preliminary investigation. How long will that take? Months, maybe years for a full case. But the investigation alone will destroy Marcus's credibility. He won't be able to touch Catherine's business. Catherine woke up Wednesday morning, more alert. The doctors removed the ventilator at 10:15 a.m. She could speak, though her voice was weak. Dad, what's happening? I heard you and Marcus arguing last night. I pulled a chair close. Catherine, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be hard to hear. I told her everything. The money, the fake companies, the girlfriend, the house, the bankruptcy. She listened, her face pale, tears streaming down her face. When I finished, she said, How long have you known? Since Monday night. I found the transactions while you were in surgery. Why didn't Marcus come when I got sick? He was with Jessica. He checked into a hotel downtown instead of staying at the hospital. She closed her eyes. I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. You trusted your husband. That's what you're supposed to do. I gave him access to everything. The accounts, the business, the contracts. I thought he was helping me. He was helping himself. She looked at me. Can we save the restaurant? I don't know. Leonard thinks it's badly damaged. The real debts alone are substantial. The lease on the Hawthorne location is bleeding $12,000 a month. Cancel the lease. Marcus signed a 5-year contract with a personal guarantee. You're both on the hook. What about the house he bought with Jessica? We can file a civil suit, try to recover the money, but that takes years. And he's going to claim it was his money, not the business's. Catherine started crying. Not loud, just quiet tears. Everything I built, 8 years of work, gone. Not gone yet. We fight this. We expose what he did. We make sure he doesn't get away with it. I'm so tired, Dad. I know. But you're strong. You're your mother's daughter. You'll get through this. The hearing on Friday was brutal. Marcus showed up with an expensive attorney, claimed everything he'd done was legitimate business expenses. His lawyer argued the fake companies were consulting subsidiaries and the money transfers were operational loans. Judge Morrison wasn't buying it. She extended the TRO for 90 days, ordered a full forensic audit of Sage and Stone's finances, and appointed a temporary receiver to manage the business while Catherine recovered. Marcus was furious. He tried to approach Catherine in the courthouse hallway. Leonard blocked him. You're in violation of the protective order. One more step and I call security. Marcus glared at me. This isn't over. You're right. It's not. The FBI is just getting started. The forensic audit took 6 weeks. The accountants found everything. Over $340,000 in fraudulent transfers. The fake vendor companies, the consulting fees, the money to Jessica, every dollar traced, documented, time-stamped. In December, the FBI arrested Marcus at his hotel, charged him with wire fraud, bankruptcy fraud, and theft. 18 federal counts. His bail was set at $250,000. Jessica Thornton turned on him immediately. Cut a deal with prosecutors. Testified that Marcus had told her the money was from a family trust. She claimed she didn't know it was stolen. The house in Lake Oswego went into receivership. Catherine's attorneys filed civil suits. Recovery would take years. The restaurant didn't survive. Even with the fraud exposed, the damage was too deep. Vendors wouldn't extend credit. The lease on the Hawthorne location couldn't be broken without a massive penalty. Sage and Stone closed its doors on New Year's Eve, 2023. Catherine stood in the empty dining room that final night, looking at the space she'd created. I failed. You didn't fail. You were betrayed. That's different. Feels the same. It's not. Failure is giving up. You fought. You exposed the truth. You made sure he paid for what he did. I still lost my restaurant. You lost a building. You didn't lose your talent or your reputation. Those are still yours. She leaned against me. What do I do now? You heal. You rebuild. You start again. And she did. By March 2024, Catherine had started consulting for other restaurants. By June, she'd partnered with 2 former Sage and Stone employees to open a smaller place in Southeast Portland. No investors, no partners, no husband. Just 3 people who loved food and wanted to create something real. The new restaurant opened in September. Smaller than Sage and Stone, more intimate. 28 seats, tasting menu only. Reservations booked months out. The reviews were glowing. Marcus's trial started in October 2024. The evidence was overwhelming. Emails, bank records, testimony from Jessica, the forensic audit. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on 16 counts. The judge sentenced him to 8 years in federal prison, ordered $340,000 in restitution. Jessica kept her house. The civil suit against her was still pending, but she'd hidden the money well. Catherine decided to let it go. I can't spend the rest of my life chasing money I'll never get back, she said. I ran into Marcus's mother at a coffee shop in Lake Oswego last month. She tried to tell me her son was a good man who made mistakes. I told her good men don't steal from their wives while they're dying in a hospital. She left without another word. Catherine's new restaurant got a James Beard nomination in January. She called me, crying. Happy tears this time. Dad, can you believe it? I can absolutely believe it. You're brilliant. You always have been. I couldn't have done this without you. You would have figured it out. Maybe. But I'm glad I didn't have to. Last week, Catherine told me she's seeing someone. A chef she met at a food industry conference. Nice guy. Owns a bakery in Bend. They're taking it slow. I haven't run a background check yet. Give me time. The hardest lesson I learned through all this is that the people who promise to support you are sometimes the ones who destroy you. And when that happens, you need someone who won't let go, who won't stop fighting, who will burn every bridge necessary to protect you. Catherine survived. More than that, she rebuilt. The restaurant that bears her name now is smaller but stronger. Built on her terms, with people she trusts. Marcus took 4 years of her life and $340,000. But he didn't break her. That's the difference between theft and destruction. You can steal someone's money, their business, their time. You can't steal their resilience. Last month, I visited Marcus in federal prison. Just once. I wanted to look him in the eye. He sat across from me in the visiting room, wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking 20 years older than the man who'd married my daughter. "Why are you here?" he asked. "To make sure you understand something. What you did to Catherine, the lies, the theft, the betrayal while she was dying, that wasn't just a crime, it was a choice. You chose money over your wife. You chose yourself over the woman who loved you. And now you get to spend 8 years thinking about that choice. I made mistakes. You made calculations. Every wire transfer, every fake invoice, every dinner with Jessica while Catherine was in ICU. Those weren't mistakes. They were decisions." He didn't respond. "She's doing well, by the way. New restaurant, James Beard nomination. New relationship with someone who actually values her. You destroyed what you had, and she built something better from the ashes." I stood up. That's all I came to say. I walked out, didn't look back. Because sometimes justice isn't about revenge. It's about making sure the person who hurt someone you love understands exactly what they lost and what they'll never get back. Catherine's new restaurant is called Ember. Small, warm, built from what remained after everything burned down. She's happy there, stronger than before. That's what matters. Not the money recovered, not the prison sentence, not the satisfaction of watching Marcus lose everything. What matters is that my daughter survived and thrived and built a life that's entirely hers. That's what fathers do. We protect what matters, even when the threat comes from inside the family. Even when it costs everything, we fight. And we don't stop until our kids are safe.